So I'm offering this simple phrase from kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. Why do I not? Why? Why does nothing work? There it is. Okay. I guess this is just the norm now. I guess this is what I just gotta do every time. But why? Why must I do so every time? It's not fair. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to all the things that I hold dear, and I hold many things dear. Oh, we'll turn that off. I hold many things dear. It's things that I dear. What happened now? Why does everything have to happen now? Like, what's wrong? Why are we always immediately going to the problems? We could go towards solutions, maybe, hopefully, maybe, ironically, hopefully, maybe, I don't know, kind of. Well, realistically, I've seen 2 videos touch my algorithm twice, and now I want to know the. I can't say perspective anymore because now motherfuckers think it's just gonna end up being black conservative perspective. I can't. I think it makes it worse. That literally every time I say perspective, that creates that problem. But there's no perspectives today. We're good. You're free. There's nothing on the perspective side of things. Good almost afternoon. I mean, it is the afternoon. It literally is the afternoon. But I want to watch these 2 videos, and depending on how I'm feeling, specifically for my Twitch people, might play episode 2 of the final season of The Walking Dead. Why? Because why not? But no, there's no perspective. Unless, matter of fact, let me check and see. Are there any perspectives? Let's see. Are there any perspectives? No, I don't see anything that. You partnered on Twitch? Nope. There, I don't know. It's looking pretty perspective-y. It looks pretty perspective-y. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's not too perspective-y. I don't care that much. But let's fry this egg while I'm gonna play a different game. It's not the games you're so used to. Oh, that's crazy. It's no Fortnite, no Fall Guys. Oh God. It's no Fall Guys, no Fortnite. Oh God. Oh, it's the other game that I frequent because fuck God. Why? Why did I just get booted in the mouth already? Jesus. All right, but apparently all the Gen Zers thought, oh my God, we're all gonna show up for Kamala. We're all just gonna show up. No Are you complaining that there's no Fortnite? I'll turn Fortnite on right now. Fortnite's ready. I also got Ghostwire, but I've never played this game. I don't know about this game. It was just free in the PlayStation Store. But all the Gen Zers were kind of expecting, hey, we're all going to be here for Kamala, right? Because we don't know how numbers work, and we all kind of thought that, hey, this was going to be in our favor because we're the most liberal mindseted group of people on the face of the earth, right? We thought that was going to work, but turns out that it didn't. And people are still doing the blame game thing, which is still fun to watch. It's also sad to watch at the same time. But you know, it's how people operate. But now we're going to get an underlying understanding from others about why this could have happened.
We're cold opening this video because there's nothing funny about what I'm about to talk about. So based on recent events, it's become clear.
Oh, you're too fast. I have to dip you down to 1.5, good buddy.
that maybe we as a country, and specifically maybe we as young people, as Gen Z, are not collectively as progressive as maybe the media and as like the general consensus for the trend of young Americans really portrays us out to be. And while I say that this has been highlighted through recent events with the recent election, this is something that I've been seeing and I've been thinking about for a long time. And actually I've been going back and forth whether or not I wanted to make a video talking about this topic, especially as someone who talks a lot about Gen Z culture and subculture. But yeah, I think I dare to say that Gen Z is beginning to lean more conservative than that of millennials. And we need to talk about that because I think there are a couple of reasons why this is, and specifically how this came to be when we talk about the normalization of conservative values, standpoints, and beliefs within Gen Z men specifically. Now, before I begin,
Well, I'll just throw my 2 cents in the ring. And it was brought up to me recently that for an entire year, the idea was, hey, let's not vote for Hitler. And that was really all people had. And they didn't really explain anything other than he's Hitler. And then that went down the rabbit hole of, is he Hitler? Let me make sure. And then people find out that, oh, no, he's not Hitler. People are just lying about him, or at least that's how they interpret it. And so with a group of people who refuse to do the work of informing individuals, it creates the standpoint of, hey, you know what I'm about to do? Just go consume media from this other side and see what they have to say. And it turns out that that media is a little bit more preferable and helpful and more knowledgeable for somebody who's just trying to be informed somewhat, some way, somehow. Because at least on that side of the aisle, whether if you agree with those standpoints or not, those motherfuckers actually take the time to at least inform them about something. Could be a blatant lie, but at least they feel the validation to be a part of something. I can't believe you put me in timeout yesterday all because I voiced my opinion. Opinions in my country? See, this is why you shouldn't want me as president. I know you specifically have never said Leon for president, but you have these people who say Leon for president 2028. It's like, I don't think these people understand. If I'm president, fuck whatever conflict is going on. I'm spending those 4 years trying to restrict your fucking speech. I'm telling you that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to backdoor deal you. I'm going to tell you straight down. I'm going to tell you straight the fuck up. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm either going to win and do it, or I'm going to lose, and you're going to know I'm the guy that wanted to restrict your speech. You'd be worse than camel toe. You say that. But at least your groceries would be a decent. At least you're not like, right. I don't have to lie to y'all. Fuck. What's the purpose of me lying to y'all? To get y'all attention? I already got y'all attention. I got y'all attention with my charisma. I don't need your attention by lying to you. The fuck? That's a waste of my time. That's a waste of all my effort. Feel me? You feel me? See how I duck the fuck out that shit, though? Like a true champion of the art.
I do want to make a quick disclaimer because I know the nature of this video is going to get fiery. We're going to break down this video. We're talking about the commonly held beliefs from like a media point of view, from like the general consensus point of view of what Gen Z.
Thumbnails usually get my attention. I ain't gonna lie to you. I do be going up down. Motherfuckers be like, oh, what's with that thumbnail? And I just be ignoring it because my thumbnail game top tier on occasion. On occasion. It's never be the best. Also, can people stop saying, oh, this video is going to be spicy, and then it ends up being tame as fuck unless you say some outlandish shit? Like, if you're not going to say some outlandish shit, then your video is not going to be spicy. The voice brings in people. I know. That's why this week, baby, the Black Friday deals are starting. And by next week, I'll have that microphone. Oh, I'll be in your fucking ears more than I already am.
Has historically believed socially and politically. And then we're going to try and break down what really has happened to specifically Gen Z men for the first part of this video. Talking about how a lot of young men have gone down the alt-right pipeline.
Listen, I'll tell you the reason, and you're not going to like it. For years, if not the entire time they've been alive, there's been a disastrous effort to not care about a man's feelings. And I'm going to sit here and be drastically honest. No one cares about your feelings on the right side of the fucking aisle. They just want you in terms of to say, hey, we got men support. So, you know, you're not really getting anywhere with the men aspect of it. You're just essentially fucking them over just to get what you want, which is fine. That's generally how a lot of politics works, just fucking over people with a bunch of anecdotes just to say, hey, we got your vote. Yeah, and I wish motherfuckers would realize that. I wish motherfuckers would realize that, hey, in this grand scheme of what we got going on, you're not really valued as much as you want. The value comes within self-worth, and you have to be able to figure out what it is you want in this life in order to get it. I Leon ASMR Mike, if I do ASMR, you're all gonna die. Because I hate to break it to anybody who thinks this is an actual standpoint. No matter the president, you're still like your mental health is still in the shitter. Like your mental health is not gonna rise up. This is the same stupid thing that I think Perspective brought up even slightly. Your mental health is still in the shitter. If you were suicidal before election day, guess what? No matter the outcome, you're still suicidal. You still think less of yourself, and no president who's never gonna fucking touch you with a 10-foot pole is gonna fucking make you feel better. How are the controls on this one compared to previous? Well, they're the same as the previous games. Now, if you're speaking in terms of like the SmackDown versus Raws, I would argue the SmackDown versus Raws are more janky, but in a good way. These are just more simulation style based. So, you know, that's pretty much that, if you were ever wondering. But I do like these newer ones. I'm surprised that this is on tap. This has been nominated for best sports game of the year, and honestly, it's one of the ones that if it wins, I wouldn't be surprised. But all I know is if 2K wins, we're cooked as a society if 2K wins. Because for fuck certain, I can tell you with fever pitch that definitely NBA 2K does not deserve any fucking award. How's Leon gonna mentally destroy us this time? You say that. You've been saying that a lot when you come into my streams, but I haven't even done it. I've kept you all pristine. I've kept you all as normal as you appeared when you first got here recently. Now, in later weeks, days, months, that all depends. But for now, you're fine.
As well as getting into how young women and Gen Z women have gone down a similar...
Been seeing online people were not happy about the Elden Ring expansion. Well, it's because it's an expansion. Like I could get with people on that, why they're mad about that. It's because, listen, it's a fucking DLC. It's not even a game. It's an expansion. It's like, and if it wins, it's just like, oh, well, fuck. Out of all those games, Astrobot and fucking Wukong, those are the ones that probably deserve to win. If they do, great. If they don't and it goes to Elden Ring, we're fried. But again, well, I say you motherfuckers are fried in terms of gaming discourse. I told y'all my games of the year, and I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Why? Because why the fuck not? Be real with them. God, be real with yourselves. Leon has already mentally destroyed me by existing. Well, that's just a skill issue and a personal problem for you, buddy. And, you know, I would say hope you heal, but you know what? You've cast an aspersion onto me, so...
Similar pipeline to hold more conservative beliefs than what has previously been thought to have been the case. Now, I'm disclaiming all this to say...
Also, because it needs to be brought up, disastrously thinking that your side is just going to always have this group of people without actually understanding anything that they care about or even paying attention to a small concern and then expecting the outcome to be what you want is foolish. So congratulations. In that, what was his name? Ryan Beard, motherfucker, who had the disastrous take of we need to understand these people, but also fuck them because they voted for this guy and they might be a racist, misogynist, fascist for voting for all of this shit. So, you know, we're getting a good job.
This is not meant to be a call.
You heard about Sony might be buying firms off. I don't even know what that is, nor do I care. What I care about is the fact that Sony still has not ordered any of these fucking game developers to make Sly Cooper 5. I don't know how to break it to y'all. Like, that's all I care about. Oh, and GTA 6. Like, when GTA 6 comes out, I'll be fine. But in terms of me giving a fuck about, oh my God, they're buying a game studio, I don't care.
Out or any like man hating or like woman hating. And I don't want to see any of that in the comments. This is more so a call in for Gen Z as a whole to start having conversations about how we got here, why we got here, and where we can go moving forward. Now knowing what we know about where the country is going to be going for the next 4 years. Now with all that said, we are here. We do have another 4 years of the Trump presidency, and that is spooky. Also, disclaimer, I do want to point out that when I'm talking about these things, they do widely apply to everyone in young Gen Z, but specifically this is more so geared towards non-black Gen Z men and women. Because
so we're not going to do any of the attacking of people, but specifically we're going to bother the non-black Gen Zers because that's going to get the vote.
As we've seen from exit polls from the most recent election, those are pretty much the demographics of people that we've seen that really did swing more conservative voting-wise in this year's election. Although culturally and socially, I do think that this is more so true across the board. Now
Oh, so it's across the board, but you're just going to bitch about this specific group. Right.
Honest, this is very different from my typical content. I don't typically do political commentary as much, but I feel like since this is something that has to deal with Gen Z, and I talk about Gen Z in social commentary a lot, and in light of everything that happened with this election, I need to talk about it. So if you are new around here and enjoy this kind of content, this is not usually the norm, but if you want to see other forms of Gen Z content analysis, Gen Z social commentary, pop culture analysis, TV and trends, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and follow me on my socials at Emergency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Also consider becoming a channel member to get exclusive access to every single one of these videos early, as well as getting 2 additional channel members.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't get behind the, hey, become a member so you can get my video like 2 hours early. Like I'd just rather give y'all, if you were a member, especially on my main channel, I'd rather just give you some shit that you're not gonna get for free. Like a fucking 16-minute rant about politics, or a fucking hour-long, fuck it, let's just do Obama impressions until we're fucking blue in the face. I feel like that's more worthy of a motherfucker taking the exclusive route of memberships.
For exclusive videos a month. And before we get started, I want to take a minute to talk about this video sponsor, Oslo Sleep Buds. Sleep Buds.
Okay!
Specifically on the Gen Z men in this video. But again, there definitely is a lot of conservative content that women fall into as well. Thinking about some aspects of the sprinkle dating content, thin is in diet culture, and the trad wife and coquette trends and lifestyles, like those definitely also contribute to some of the pushing of conservative viewpoints and beliefs. But in this video, we're talking...
Listen, I don't know how to break it to y'all, but a bitch cooking food for her family, it's not really conservative. I don't give a fuck who adopted it as conservative. As long as I live, cooking for your family or being a stay-at-home mom or a mom who takes care of her fucking kids or her husband, that's not a conservative value. That's just a fucking human trait. Be proud of the fact that that's your human trait, please, and stop allowing things to be adopted into political standing.
Talk about the men, because the men really did their big one this election, and not in the best way. So prior to the last year, honestly the last 6 months, Gen Z has sort of been seen and described by the public as being this progressive young force of energy who really care about things like climate change, social issues and equality, diversity, equitable healthcare, and bodily autonomy. Now in the recent past, with general sentiments and voting history, this has been the case, and largely still is to a certain extent, with the majority of young people siding with more progressive policies and politics. We saw in the 2020 election, 60% of voters aged 18 to 29 came out and voted for President Biden, with 65% of specifically Gen Z coming out.
Motherfuckers are obsessed with trad wives because they can't get them. I'm sorry. I don't mean to give off my would I be douchey to call it requirements, or what would I call it? I just want somebody who, if we're awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're going to Taco Bell. That's really all I fucking want. Like, I'm such a simple man. All the love, the vacations and the care and nurturing, that's already going to be there. I just want that specific thing because fuck, why not? Why not? That's more enjoyable to me. Like that's more of a fruitful endeavor for me to have. Like all of the other things, they're, I'd argue, barest of minimums that can be expanded upon in great ways. But if I can't fucking go to Taco Bell with a motherfucker at 2 a.m, then what truly is love? What truly is determination of the bonding of the souls?
Out to vote for him. And we constantly saw in the news about how the Gen Z and the youth vote was really pushing this like blue wave of progressive politics and politicians, trying to usher in this new era of politics that was sort of a rejection of the typical conservative beliefs, politics, and talking points. Now, with this most recent election, the 2024 election that we all just lived through, we actually saw Gen Z numbers go down quite a bit, with only about 54% of young voters coming out for the Democratic Party as of recording this video. Of course, this is based on exit polls, and those numbers are still updating as more votes are being counted. But as of filming this video, 54% of young people voted Democratic this election. And that's more than a 10% decrease from 4 years ago. And the decrease in the support is wild, considering that the opposing candidate for both of these elections has been the same person. And the second time around, he ran on a more extreme version of his original platform, which holistically went more against the typical Gen Z values than in the past election. And now, while the reasons behind this are plentiful, and people have pointed fingers in many different directions for why this happened and why Trump has won the presidency again, whether that be things like vague descriptors of like the state of the economy, the G side in Gaza, not really vibing or liking Kamala, or whatever reasons that really resonated with young voters. Regardless, people have their various reasons for why they did not vote Democratic in this election. And I do want to clarify, because this is a lot. The rest of this video is not going to be a political breakdown or analysis of the specific election, but more so a case study into a few specific groups of the electorate that contributed to this election outcome, and more so has been a growing community around the younger generation, and that is the state of Gen Z men. And when I say Gen Z men, when I'm talking about men for the first half of this video, I'm more so talking about white men. Now hold on. I know that probably triggered some fight or flight in some of y'all, but hear me out. This isn't a hating video. I'm not here to hate on anybody. I'm just here to explain. I'm just here to chat. But there have been numerous articles written over the past couple of years talking about the rise in general male rage and discontent across the board, but specifically amongst Gen Z and Gen Alpha, with more and more young men acting increasingly misogynistic, in some cases
I'm not here. I hate every single one of you douches that do this. I'm not here to hate, but now I'm about to hate. But I'm going to do it in like a calm voice so you don't perceive it as hating, even though it'll still be hating. I fear that this video is going to drastically undermine any point of motherfuckers. And whether their views on something are simplistic or actually eloquent, motherfuckers are going to drastically ignore it to say, oh, well, you all have a problem and you need to figure out how to fix it in a way that benefits me and what I want in the world.
Generally bigoted and holding more conservative beliefs and viewpoints than their women or queer counterparts.
We all getting real excited about the man versus bear conversation.
So a lot of times people ask,
Listen, I'm always be on the ladies' side with the man versus bear thing, because guess what? Unfortunately for you low insecure motherfuckers who don't seem to grasp it, there are reasons for a motherfucker to be afraid. Just like there are reasons for you to be afraid of a woman. Let's not play this fucking game in a stupid fashion. We know strangers are not really trustworthy, even if you want to touch where they pee at. But fuck, can we at least for a moment rationalize what it means to actually fucking be reasonable in this subsection? Please? It would benefit. It really would. But and also he has the fucking, you see in the fucking bottom right there, he has white but YT. Like, I already can't stand this video.
asking what I'm pointing to or where my research comes from.
My white male rage for your grammar is showing.
When I make predictions about politics, it's you. It's you all. I think a lot of you really underestimate how much unfettered access social media gives us to demographic research. A lot of people think that when I make observations about culture and politics, it has just to do with politics alone. No, a lot of other things are indicators of political affiliation. For almost every single video where I see discourse happening back and forth, I'm not just checking for the comments, I'm swiping almost at least 12 to 20 profiles to see who's commenting what and why. So for instance, a lot of people cite my video about how plus size fashion disintegrating this year is an indication of a rise in and fat. But a lot of people cite that video as kind of like a really good prediction. But what a lot of people do not often stitch is the video I made after it, which was in reply to a comment, which is that white women should watch their children for an obsession with thinness and fitness. And particularly if they are finding this inspiration through social media platform, because those are usually pipelines to the alt-right.
And I think a lot of this is because this behavior is promoted and emboldened based on the content in the circles that young men are brought up in and basically encircled around. And in some cases incentivized to stay in because of this alt-right pipeline that exists online. Like y'all remember last year when teachers were complaining about how kids didn't read, and like an offshoot of that conversation were how these young boys were increasingly misogynistic and rude to their female teachers and classmates. Even though when these teachers brought it up to their parents were even shocked that they were exhibiting these behaviors. In some cases you can blame parents for teaching their kids to be bigoted and teaching their kids to have these more conservative beliefs. But oftentimes, especially with the Gen Z and Gen Alpha and the younger generation, a lot of this, I'm going to put in quotes, indoctrination comes from the online and peer spaces that young men are brought up in. And this is something that I feel like just now really getting the spotlight that it deserves because we're seeing the impacts of this now in real time. But I feel like young, specifically straight, and oftentimes white men have been progressively red-pilled in our society through the media and content that is consumed and out there right now. And
So this is like the fifth time you've brought up race. You need to understand that while you're trying to put forth this dichotomy to have this conversation because you saw statistically that it was the white men and the other ethnic groups that played a part in this, you need to understand that these same talking points you're describing for the whites, you can describe for the blacks too, because there are black men who have veered drastically more conservative than you would probably like, because I understand that you might want all your black people to think the same because skinfolk, kinfolk, and all that lame ass fucking excuse. But what you need to actually adopt is the mindset of, hey, in this weird world, you're not really providing an alternative or a solution, because for so fucking long, as I stated earlier, the men's thought process or feeling has not been fucking cared about, and motherfuckers have felt as if they've been abandoned. They felt like no one cares about them. They feel like no one values them. And the worst place they could go to even seek out a form of validation is the internet. And they go on the internet and they find motherfuckers saying all these things that flick the interest of their emotional fucking mindset. And they think, oh my God, this person would lie to me. This person would deceive me. This person would do all of that. And that person drastically would deceive you. And enjoy taking your fucking money. Why? Because it's your money, and your money is more valuable to them than their own money, because your money is what gives them more money. And the more that this side that bitches about, oh, I didn't get my outcome, let's fucking talk about how it's the Gen Z white male's fault. They don't understand that they're not providing a place where these same men that you're bitching about and will probably at the end of this video expect or demand that they change their ways. You're not giving them a place where they feel like they're cared about. You're giving them, hey, let's bitch at these people and hope just by bitching they change their mind. It's not going to help.
I'm sure it hasn't helped that a lot of these behaviors and ideologies have been normalized and emboldened.
How many times do I have to keep telling y'all that the more you constantly say fuck people, those people, when you start asking for their support, they're going to say fuck you. Like, I don't know how many times I've brought this up, but that still is true to this day.
And by prominent political figures and pundits in the real world as well. And again, we've seen this play out in the real world when it comes to this past election, because we saw an increase in general male votes for Trump, but also more specifically and a little bit more alarmingly, an increase in the youth male vote for Trump. And I want to break down for this next section of the video what exactly this alt-right conservative pipeline is online for these men and shine a little bit more light on how we got here. I'd argue that generally a lot of what's been going on in male-centered spaces has kind of been ignored by the main media outlets and the general pop culture zeitgeist, because everyone online lives in their own bubbles. And generally the types of energies and ideologies that these male-dominated spaces really breed and foster, especially recently, have been really intense and in some cases toxic. So I feel like for a lot of people, they've kind of pushed that group to the side, kind of relegating them as like the incels of the internet, or like this other out group that you just really don't want to engage with, which is completely understandable. But I feel like because
so it's understandable, but
it's kind of left on its own for so long, these alt-right spaces are really able to flourish, and I think we're seeing the impacts of that now. According to data from Gallup and the Walton Family Foundation, they found that Gen Z teens are twice as likely to identify as more conservative than their parents than millennials were 20 years ago. They go on to say that it suggests a generational shift. And while I'll argue in this video that this push for Gen Z not being as progressive as we claim to be applies to both Gen Z men and women, a quote from a Newsweek article states that it's typically reflective of the gender split, where it's mostly young men who are becoming more conservative and mostly young women who are not. And again, not saying that this is the be-all end-all, but looking at the exit poll numbers of this last election, you can kind of see that, where men by and large voted for a more conservative party than women, although for white men and women across the board, the percentages were shocking. Gen Z women weren't as heavily skewed. Now, I will say this before I break into this pipeline and before I start analyzing how we got here, I do want to say first and foremost, I am not asking or encouraging anyone, especially black women, to feel bad for or to feel sorry for anyone that got caught up in this pipeline or anyone that is currently in this pipeline, because the really real thing.
Remember what I said 1 minute ago. How you're mad at this outcome. You're talking about the people that spurred this outcome. Yet instead of coming up with a plan that would actually get people to see your side and think this side cares about me, let's see what they got, and maybe they end up voting for that side, you instead go the route of, hey, don't feel sorry for these people at all. Who fucking ray for logic, isn't it?
Thing is that the results of the actions taken by people that have fallen into this pipeline, into this belief system, people that choose to align themselves with these ideologies, have caused and will directly cause harm to essentially everyone else in the country. So I never asked for that. I wouldn't even do that. And that's not the point of this video at all. This video is really just trying to shed light on and trying to explain how and why things have panned out the way that they have, so that we're able to mobilize and try and seal a path forward in 2026.
We need to, yeah, great. Let's mobilize. Boycott Black Friday. What a great fucking idea. This not his fucking talking point. But now when I hear motherfuckers say, we're tired of this, we're going to fight back, and the idea was boycott Black Friday, I'm not letting that slide. That is hands down the dumbest fucking protest of the year. It just is, bro. That's such a dumbass fucking protest.
In 2028 to get the correct information in the right way to the people that need it most. Now let's talk about this alt-right pipeline for men.
And you know what's crazy? Get the information to the people who need it the most. You did. And those same people didn't turn out to fucking vote. So what are you doing? It's almost like you need to galvanize more people. Not just the people who are on your side who already fucking agree with you. You need to figure out how to get the people who disagree with you. You need to figure out how to get the motherfuckers who didn't go vote. Like me. How are you going to get me on your side? I hope you have a plan, because I didn't fucking vote, because both sides fucking suck. So I hope you got an idea.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I think usually when people think about the alt-right pipeline, you know, this has been a thing that's been talked about for a while. Like it's been a thing. And there have been multiple videos of men speaking out against the alt-right pipeline.
Showing me Xander Hall, knowing that this fucking twink is the same person who disregards a lot of life, is the way for you to get ignored.
Online and talking about how they almost fell into it and how they got out. But I think for the general public, when you think of like this alt-right pipeline that exists online for these men, you think of people intentionally making these choices to learn more and more about this ideology and fall more and more in love with it, digging deeper and deeper into the intricacies of these spheres. But in most cases, especially when it comes to younger people, these pipelines have become a lot more covert in the way that they gain new people and gain trust and beliefs of them.
Covert? Motherfucker, Andrew Tate is on tap for criminal charges because he said all this shit online. Y'all gotta stop saying this shit. Nobody's sneakily doing anything. They're all doing it in front of your fucking face. You either block it out and ignore it. What the that's the blatant. Why do you say covert and show the most, I'm gonna say this shit on the internet for everybody to see, motherfucker? Why? Why out of all the motherfuckers you brought up the one motherfucker who broadcast all this shit online?
These young men. And this may be preaching to the choir, but I do want to give a quick baseline for like how this usually starts. It usually starts as something seemingly innocuous, you know, initially preying on usually white men's insecurities, anxieties, and fears as a young man or teenager. That being masculinity, money, fitness, and social standing both within other men and within their dating pool with women. And this is because men, particularly straight men, and oftentimes straight white men, have expressed feeling left out in a lot of circles due to needs not being met, into being in the age of the woman, seeing how it's no longer enough to be rewarded with the world's spoils by just being a straight man in society, and seeing that you actually have to work on yourself as a human being to earn that value. And then you see the whole misogyny and misogynoir come in, where often cases these people are seeing and women winning being the focus and coming out ahead because they're putting in the work, they put in that work, and are getting to / have gotten to a point where the generalized need or reliance on men has lowered to record numbers socially. And I know I keep harping on this, I know I keep saying this, but I think this alt-right pipeline, although it can affect a lot of men, I think that it does impact white men a little bit more. And again, we've seen that with the way that people have voted, and I think a lot of this can be attributed to the evolution of...
Why is there grass being cut? Why is there grass being cut? I just hear it. I just hear it. And I'm just like, why? Why is the grass being cut? Do you need to be cutting grass? It's just gonna grow back anyway. It's just gonna grow back anyway. Who cares? Who cares? I tend to believe my lying eyes, especially when my lying ears could confirm with my... Can that not apply to this dude's side about insecurities? No, because apparently he's gay. Because he keeps harping on straight. And whenever somebody harps on straight that much, they're definitely one of the letters. And there's no problem with you being one of the letters, but Jesus fucking Christ, do you need to fucking shout to the ether how, oh my God, it's straight, it's straight, it's straight. We get it.
Of like incel culture, but generalized incel culture, moving out of the typical like basement dweller, chronically online Redditor that doesn't have many real lives.
Thanks. Again, I understand the metric here. You're trying to explain why something turned out the way it did. I get it. But the constant fucking insulting is the thing that will turn, Rochambeau, is the thing that's gonna turn people away from voting for what you want. You're not inviting, you're not welcoming. That's why these motherfuckers turned away from whatever progressive lifestyle that they were a part of at some point. Because unfortunately, for motherfuckers who don't seem to understand it, motherfuckers don't start off any way that you think they do. They tend to turn that way. Whether if they started off as Democrat, whether it be from the indoctrination of living at home, or they fucking end up being that way because, hey, some girl got them to believe in that. Whatever the fuck it is, oh my God, he just threw a stick at me. Whatever the fuck it is, oh, come on. Oh, come the fuck on. Get up, get up, get up. I'm about to lose because this motherfucker, oh, I won. Oh, I didn't win. I avoided conflict the best way possible. But when you have the constant barrage of insults with no, and I mean no, actual fucking way to get people to agree with you, side with you, all this shit, you don't get what you want in the later outcomes. So if by whatever fucking metric in 2028, Trump gets reelected, which I hope he doesn't, because at that point he's gonna be older than fuck, and there's no way this motherfucker will actually survive. You need to actually fucking promote. You need to solidify all the fucking things you want in terms of this next fucking election, because if you don't, congratulations, you're going to have to deal with another Trump or another Republican, because instead of actually coming up with ideas that would have helped your cause, you instead fucking sit there and bitch about how the world's not favorable to you and you're expecting the outcome to be what you want. It's never going to be how that works. I'm sorry. It's not worked for you at any point.
Social interactions due to their beliefs that the world and women are out to get them, and have moved on to more public-facing and overt audiences of men. So now instead of incel culture being strictly relegated to people that are inside their house where you don't typically see them, or you can like tell when you're looking at an incel culture has more so migrated outward to the everyday man to different degrees. And you can...
Yes, because of the power of online, much like your fucking weird blue-haired bitches, how they used to stay inside. Now they're all out and about. Hooray! And it's annoying.
See a lot of this messaging. And while it may not be inherently so in your face, it definitely is still there, and we see it. And we can really see it, especially in a lot of the messaging in male content spaces. One popular influencer, Hasanabi, tweeted something about this, basically talking...
Yes, the fucking terrorist sympathizer. That's a great representation of progressive rules. Like, this is a great candidate. This fucker cares, doesn't he? he cares so much about the fucking issues. Right.
Talking about how it's very difficult to avoid the alt-right conservative pipeline as a man on the internet because these values, viewpoints, and virtue signals / dog whistles proliferate into so many male-dominated online spaces and touch almost every single interest online, which to a certain degree is definitely true. Like, let's break into fitness. Like, fitness has been a big trend for male audience.
I'm gonna fucking disastrously destroy this stupid ass concept that you motherfuckers allowed to be adopted into your everyday life. If I go to the fucking gym, I don't give a fuck who says what. I'm going to the gym for my health, not some dipshit who's insecure because some bitch doesn't want to touch him, speaking, saying, "Oh my God, you work out, you'll bring more hoes in." How about I just want to fucking work out for me? How about that one? How about when I work out, I'm caring about my fucking body?
Audiences online, and the fitness sphere has taken a huge boom, especially since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. And while there is
Yeah, because motherfuckers are unhealthy, and they got unhealthy during the pandemic. And some of them are trying to bounce back and rebound from their unhealthy fucking ways.
a lot of great and innocent fitness content online, there also is a lot of fitness content that runs on the narratives, spun around things like revenge bodies, basically getting fit in spite of an ex, or making these transformations.
Yes, and those people are bitter. They are losers. They are bitter. They are fucking failures. Guess what? You worked out. Now you got abs. That bitch still don't want you. Congratulations, you did all that for
To
nothing.
either get more women to like them, or to show like an ex or a situationship, or like insert a random woman that affected them at some point and their long distant past here, which in my opinion breeds this like bro culture and ultimately breeds this woman hating culture within these spaces. Like, you're constantly seeing content around gaining this revenge body to get back at your ex, or in spite of your ex because she broke your heart, she doesn't deserve you. That inherently creates some resentment towards women. Like, you're doing this whole fitness thing not for your sake, not to look better, but because you are anti a certain woman, which then can lead you to be just generally anti-woman.
Okay, great. So what this got to do with voting?
It really normalizes these outlooks and general belief system that it shouldn't matter what girls think or feel. And what really matters is the opinions, values, and beliefs of your fellow man to keep you afloat.
That's wonderful. You still did the thing where you're calling these motherfuckers incels.
Which we've seen not necessarily pan out in the favor of these men. See the male loneliness epidemic, for instance. So not only can these fitness spaces breed certain levels of misogyny, the fitness sphere can also breed certain levels of fat phobia. And if you look historically, extreme fat phobia.
What does this have to do? What the fuck does this have to do with the fucking election? What fat? Kamala not fat, is she? I don't think she is. She looks greatly fit for somebody who I think is in her 50s. What's wrong with that?
Leads down an inherently alt-right conservative pipeline and belief system. And when I'm saying this, I'm not talking about general fat phobia. Like, that already is not great, but this is like extreme fat phobia. Like, where it's no longer pretending to be about like health, but
I'm not voting for you, you fat bitch, even though you're not fat.
now it's more so for aesthetics and having a certain look, like being able to look a certain way to have social value and social currency, creating very much an in-group and an out-group, what is desirable and acceptable and what is undesirable and unacceptable. And men are definitely not the only ones that are guilty about this. And while we talk about how women have fallen into this as well, we'll talk about the fitness in movement and how that is historically tracked to more conservative times. Then there's the whole content sphere within the manosphere around getting girls, dating, and general desirability. Now this one I feel like is more so prominent nowadays. Like, it only takes you a few scrolls on Twitter or TikTok to see that the state of dating.
Yeah, that's because your algorithm is fucking terrible. And the more you consume all that dating culture shit that you clearly consume, you're going to consume eventually a stupid ass dating tape. You know what happened to my algorithm after I completely cleaned it up with food? It's now harder for me to find stupid shit online. Like, I can still find it, but now it's harder because now my algorithm is how to cook certain food, or a travel fucking vlog, or a music edit. Why? Because I stopped consuming all this fucking negative media. I stopped outwardly looking for it in my everyday fucking life. Clean up your algorithm. Guarantee you're going to see less of it. If you don't, and you still bitch about it, well, it's your own fault.
Dating discourse online, especially for Gen Z, is garbage. And again, this isn't something that just appeared in the last year or two. This has been something that has been brewing for a very long time, especially within male spheres. That, in my opinion, have progressively moved men's values, especially in dating, to be more so conservative. For a lot of Gen Z straight men, this stemmed from watching an abundance of how to get girls content on social media during the early teen years, where young male teens would be exposed to these alpha male strategy YouTube.
I'm sorry, but I never fucking watched any of this. Like, I'm sorry. I just accepted the fact that, hey, wasn't a girl's type. Then I went to go play Black Ops 2.
Videos, essentially promoting traditional gender roles and normalizing a level of misogyny and hypermasculinity that is toxic, encouraging young men to take on these attitudes, to become an alpha and to gain respect from your fellow man and also from women, really creating this male-centered approach to dating with women. Well, a lot of the content and tips around that time focusing on disrespecting women to get them to like you and to fall in line, to insinuations that women don't really know what they want, and that it's a man's job to show them what they really want, further implying that women can't think or advocate for themselves and their own needs, which again is very misogynistic. And all this online content came before 2016, before Trump first got in office, that emboldened a lot of people to have these beliefs and foster these beliefs. Like, this has been going on for a while. And again, if you've been tapped into any of the dating discourse online, you see that a lot of these talking points, a lot of these beliefs, while they may not be one for one the same, in some cases they are, different iterations of them are still being used as discourse, as tips, as talking points for what's wrong with dating in this generation, with the messaging continuing to
Now, I have a question. What the fuck does this have to do with the election?
involved in continuing to further the gender divide within Gen Z, specifically when it comes to dating. You have the what do you bring to the tables, the you have to embrace your.
Yeah, that's probably the only one that's valid. Like the what do you bring to the fucking table? That's the only one that's valid because I'm sorry, but if you one of these motherfuckers, man or woman, who just has nothing to fucking offer, why are you around? Like, what do you like? Move around. Just go somewhere else. Go somewhere where that type of shit is favored. This shit not favored here. You gotta have something to fucking offer. Like something of substance. Like, please. We have too many post-election breakdowns to tell me that women know what they want. Hey, we have too many post-election breakdowns that are just bitching about a certain group that voted for the outcome you didn't want, and to just say, hey, let's all fucking figure out what we want, but demonize this group of people instead of, trying to understand them, talking to them, getting them to see that your side also cares about men, but not in the douchey dude bro way.
Feminine or masculine energy of it all, just all fully on display right now. And you see a lot of this discourse play out in real time on things like podcasts, even on the Pop the Balloon show. Like that is such a great sociological example and where we've gone and what we value in like dating nowadays, because a lot of the points that people say when they're talking about what they're looking for in a partner and what they're not willing to accept in a partner have been leaning more and more conservative and traditional in their values. You have more and more Gen Z people advocating for traditional values in relationship. And I think a big issue that people have been running into is that people say that they want traditional values, but they themselves don't act in a traditional manner. But regardless, this whole concept of like moving back to traditionalism does lean more towards conservative talking points and beliefs. And again, this goes for both sides. You have some women saying they're really looking for a provider, looking for someone to lead and be controlled. And on the flip side, you have men talking about how they're looking for feminine women that will let them lead, stating things like they're looking for someone modest, someone that doesn't do too much. Basically, everything.
What's the problem? Is people saying what they're looking for. Isn't this Trump's second term, so he can't get rid? Oh, well, there you go. I didn't know. You think I knew about how the election works? I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who don't want to inform anybody. They just want to say, do research.
Dog whistles against having these strong, independent, opinionated women that we've been seeing absolutely kill it over the past couple of years. Well,
I'm so happy that they've killed it. Too bad they couldn't fucking kill it in the press.
People that have these beliefs aren't saying it out loud.
That's twice women have tried to get the spot and have almost made it to the finish line, then got chewed out. And who do you blame?
This is a direct rejection out of all this because that threatens the whole concept of masculinity, threatens the whole concept of this machismo, misogynist rhetoric that also is one of the main talking points of like traditional conservative viewpoints, meaning that the woman needs to be subservient, needs to be modest, needs to not be as opinionated and just to go along with what things are being said.
You know what's crazy? He just said they have women that want to be led, but he conveniently has not gone very in-depth with that.
By the men. And then on the flip side, for women, for men, the need for this provider, these sometimes seemingly unrealistic expectations for what a provider really means in terms of monetary compensation.
Oh, there we go. Never mind. He's cooking the women.
Stability. All this to say that in reality, this frustration with dating for men, Canada has a lot of them down this pipeline of like disliking and hating women. Either
I ain't gonna fucking lie to you. How the fuck does not getting the bitch you want lead to anything regarding the election? I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Overtly or covertly, only really respecting, acknowledging, or giving the time of day to like the good ones that they believe to be, which again is problematic. Then the last,
which is technically what you're doing. You're sitting here bitching, this little light bitching, and you're trying to focus on the good ones. RFK Jr. would have been better than Harris? Incorrect. I don't understand how a guy who will sit there and talk to you about the issues regarding health, and what did he do over the weekend? Eat McDonald's? He openly criticized Trump's diet and ate McDonald's with him? Sure. Because that shit makes fucking sense. Right.
This part of the pipeline for men is the money and the get rich quick of it all. I think this pipeline especially was seen with the outcome of this election and a lot of the talking points for a lot of young people and a lot of men when it came to this election, talking about the economy. I've personally seen a major movement into the alt-right pipeline when it comes to money, when it comes to getting rich quick content. Because a lot of these financial freedom, get rich quick content verticals oftentimes are male leaning and oftentimes are very manipulative in the way
and they're very scamish
that they advertise.
Say the key thing. It's scamish. It's a scam. It's a fucking scam, mate. It's a scam, brother. Brother, it's a scam, brother. It's a group of people not understanding, underestimating, and not really liking.
And pull in people like that.
How's money alt-right? So look, before he says anything, I think it's going to be the route of this is just the crippling chase to money hungry and money hunt and all this thing, because he's never really eloquently brought up a point that means anything. So that's where I think this is going to go, and it's going to go terribly. Because I couldn't for the fucking life of me understand how getting money is right wing, but I guess in a vacuum, this is how this is supposed to go. But the get rich quick schemes are scams. Pay me this money, and that way you'll get rich by giving me money, right? That makes sense. That makes all the sense in the world, right?
They advertise things like financial freedom or never having to work a day in your life if you just do these steps and work in this way. All of them basically resolving around capitalism and oftentimes around exploiting people, like the whole home flipping debate, like the whole Airbnb gate, which contributed to some of the issues in housing. And the gag is for a lot of these get rich quick content spaces, a lot of them end up boiling down to this sense.
But are those really alt-right? Or are they just scammers? See, when I see that, I just think, oh, they're fucking scammers. Because there's not really much else I could think about that other than, oh, they're fucking scammers. And I think nothing else from that except, oh, they're scammers. Like, I'm not thinking anything else in this. I'm thinking, oh, they're scammers.
Of billionaire aspiration and oftentimes worship, which I think is really weird. In spite of the inherently capitalistic nature of this type of content and general interest in it, it causes men to seek inspiration from and really tune in and listen to these people who have claimed to make it big through house flipping, through investing in stocks, through these various entrepreneurship endeavors.
Yes, because in a world where, let's be real here, everybody wants money, including you, motherfuckers are definitely going to go the route of, hey, I have no money. I need a quick way to get money, and motherfuckers go the route of saying, oh, let me pay this fucking $500 and hopefully this person flips it to $50,000. Oh, I can flip houses. Oh, I could do this. And none of them are actually substantial. They're all scams. Scams preying upon the financially unstable individual. Remember Forex? Remember how lucrative that was? Not.
And again,
I will never let it die that I was told a story that I will always repeat. I had a friend who was deep in Forex, so deep that he got to a point where he could start recruiting people. He tried to recruit one of my friends, and he told me this story, and I'll tell it to you. They were in the car, and they were just talking about something else. But one of insert person's here's clients called, and he kept trying to brag like, oh, see, he about to tell me about all the money he got. And see, this is why you should get a part of Forex, and you could be a part of my team, and then I could get you off so that you could start your own team. You know what I'm saying? The motherfucker answers the phone and immediately gets cursed out, saying, fuck you. You told me this shit was going to be something that has infinite money coming in. Fuck you, give me my money back. And he kept trying to explain to him, hold on. And the nigga said, ain't no fucking hold on. Give me my fucking money back. And he hung up the phone. And there was an awkward silence in the fucking car. And after that, Forex became a taboo topic. And need I say, no one in the story I mentioned is a right-winger or voted for Trump.
And this is not always a bad thing. These spaces are not always part of the pipeline, not always trying to breadcrumb someone through this pipeline, but more often than not, it happens.
Oh, so they're not a part of it, but they're more often than not. So you're still papering it. You see how this is still not getting you anywhere?
It seems to be that a lot of the men in these spaces that are being idolized, these men that have these fortunes, are making content or have these clips going around dropping tips for how people can get rich, tend to lean more conservative. And some may say that this is because conservatives just are better at making money. No, I think a lot of cases, these billionaires and people that have all this money tend to lean conservative because the conservative/Republican Party gives them more tax breaks and benefits them politically and financially in ways that the left and Democratic Party typically do not. And by allowing people and getting people to support them by saying, like, you can do it too by doing these exact things that I did, it serves these oftentimes conservative billionaires' interests to continue exploiting these people, bringing them on their side, and making them believe that they can have and should behave in the ways of a tax bracket they are not currently in, and oftentimes will never be in. Like, you have people worshiping and seeking inspiration from Elon Musk. Like, that man was born with money that some people will never make in their lives. Like, you can't get inspiration from that. Like, the starting point of these stories are not the same. And what happens oftentimes, what we saw, especially with this recent election, when it comes to this red-pilled financial content, that it gets men to believe that they can have this money, that they do have this money, and gets them to act in ways as if they actually do. And almost as though it's a possibility and a right for them to have that same level of success by acting, voting, and believing the same things that these billionaires do, when that just simply is not the case. Like, that's the reason why we saw so many people voting for an economic plan that would benefit a tax bracket that they are not currently in. Now, this last thing I want to talk about, when it comes to men, specifically Gen Z men, especially when it comes to the conservative pipeline, one of the main drivers for this, and I alluded to this earlier in this video, are the streamers and are the podcasts and are the creators. And I feel like this is something that's really unique to this generation specifically. When we talk about online spaces that are male dominated and sometimes tend to lean more conservative, these things really lie in the hands of these creators, podcasters, streamers, what have you. Because
Joe, now, I was kind of with you Joe Budden, motherfucker. Really? Of all the people, Joe fucking Budden? Really? Couldn't be anybody else? You had Joe Rogan. Joe fucking Budden.
Because for Gen Z, content is king. We've known this. And this is true no matter your gender or your political affiliation. Because as we saw testimonially from a lot of these results in the recent election, a lot of people were influenced by the content that they saw these creators make, as well as just generally the beliefs of these creators that they follow.
So why not, just for a moment, work with me now? Because I saw motherfuckers coming up with this idea, and it sounds really fucking disastrous when you say it out loud, given the context of this individual. Why not galvanize to have a couple people be at the top of the echelon of your progressive content? And before you say anything, no, not like Andrew Tate. Because Andrew Tate, you get it. Andrew Tate has certain problems that wouldn't be beneficial for a progressive to have. I think we could all agree on that. Right? Right. But then you walk into the problem of, all right, who? Because it definitely ain't going to be Hassan. Because Hassan is a terrorist sympathizer. Hassan's a fucking terrorist sympathizer. There's that one guy, I don't know his fucking name, but I've seen him in my algorithm as of late, who, after the election, bitched that he was losing subs because he spent the entire year talking about how Trump's gonna lose, Trump's gonna lose, Trump's gonna lose, Trump's gonna lose, Trump's gonna lose. And then Trump won. And then the fucking people who believed in this motherfucker had to be like, well, motherfucker, you just wasted our time. Fuck you. And he's like, please don't unsubscribe. No, motherfucker, you sold them a bill of goods and it didn't work. Next time, go the route of saying you don't fucking know who's gonna win, like me. Pretty sure that was Destiny. Incorrect. Wrong statement. Destiny is the motherfucker who said, hey, he doesn't care if a Trump supporter goes to a Trump rally and gets shot and dies. Which, you know what? I say, still to this day, wild fucking thing to say. And even when he explained his reasoning, still a wild fucking thing to say. Because it's literally just a both sides fucking thing. And he's right. Motherfucking conservatives get allowed a bunch of fucking excuses. Case in point, the dumb bitch who threatened terrorism on a fucking abortion clinic. A lot of motherfuckers in my comment section wanted to give out a bunch of excuses for that motherfucker. But if it was a BLM fucking rally, it'd have been a whole bunch of these motherfuckers deserve to be in jail. It's a lot that goes on in terms of excuses. Wasn't it David Pakman? I don't know. If I see his face, I'll be able to tell you. If I looked at his face, I'll be able to tell you who it was. I'm going to just type in David Pakman. Just see if that's him. Yeah, that's him. That's him. That was the guy. Him. He's the one that bitched. Oh my God, we're losing subscribers at a rapid pace. Nigga, so? Fuck, nigga, so? You all right?
And listen to. And why this comes to more of a conservative viewpoint is because a lot of the top podcasts, a lot of the top spaces for male entertainment online do lean conservative.
I don't know how to break it to you, but nobody's going to kick for political views. They're going to kick for the degenerate fucking titty streams. Like, that's what they're going to kick for, buddy. I don't know one political streamer on Kick. I don't. No, I'm sorry. I don't take Sneeko seriously. He's a cuck. The man's a cuck. Why would I look at that man and think, wow, you're somebody to take serious?
Conservative. Like the top podcast, Joe Rogan, Joe Budden, the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul, Jake Paul, that one white guy with the faux hawk. Like, these are all spaces that are primarily for men, but also are like really conservative leaning.
I'm being so dead ass when I say this, that if you are a man and you have left-leaning beliefs and you have a platform, it might be time to grab a podcast mic. Is that there's now this massive gap.
Which is what I thought they were already doing. They were already doing that. They were already galvanizing the fucking idea. They have streamers that do it. They have people with podcasts. The problem is that these motherfuckers are so skewed and they don't really know how to explain a point. For a fucking example, Hassan has openly disrespected black people, people of the minority working class, transgenders, veterans. This man is not who y'all want. So if there's anybody, because I do believe they're out there, who are just normal left-leaning motherfuckers, and before anybody jumps in and says, there are no normal left-leaners, guess what? Conservatives are trash, just like the fucking left. I hate to break it to you. But you motherfuckers that all of a sudden develop feelings because you got called trash by an old white guy, hate to break it to you, you're still a piece of shit. And you codify the example of being a piece of shit. Why? Because you've participated in slander and insults throughout the entire year, all of a sudden pretending as if you now have a fucking heart because an old guy called you garbage. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee, Batman. Ooh-wee.
Of what is young men's entertainment, what is entertainment for men. And that entertainment for men, that Joe Rogan, fucking, what is it, like Fresh and Fit, all these places, Aiden Ross, the people they are going to find entertainment are all radicalizing into the right. And so I feel maybe now, I will grab the homies. And if you are a man on the left of the platform, you go grab the homies, and as annoying as it might seem, as stupid as it might seem, there needs to be a gap for radicalizing young men to the left.
And I think what's really drawing these men in is that these content creators are speaking to, in very layman's terms, what issues men, specifically straight, oftentimes white, men are facing in.
I guess a black man doesn't face crippling loneliness. Is that the gimmick I'm supposed to believe? A black man doesn't fucking struggle with dating. A black man doesn't struggle with finances. A straight black man, since the gays clearly don't face this issue in your fucking metric, a black man don't worry about any of this shit. Like, are we clear on what the issues are, or are we just bitching? I know the answer is we're just bitching, but I need more motherfuckers to like get behind the idea of we got to stop this and figure out a strategy, which I'm on the side of the guy he just showed who's like, we got to fucking make a podcast. We all got to fucking do something because this is just not it. Like, I'm on his side. This motherfucker who just wanted to bitch about straight white dudes, you're going to be the reason another Republican gets elected. And you know what? It's beginning to look a lot like I'm not gonna feel bad because you motherfuckers suck and you don't know how to promote anything at fucking all.
Society, or what they believe they're facing in society, and validating that in ways that they felt that they needed. But the additional part that they're going is then also swaying them to be more conservative. And I think that
what they believe they're facing in society is a drastic way to say, hey, I know you think you have these issues, but you don't, as they go through those issues in their daily life.
we want to talk about like actionable things for like of how we can move men back more to the left is like that one piece, and having creators and podcasters still be able to do that piece of like validating the male experience, because that is important for representation. But the way that they do that and the messaging and undertones can be shifted to be more productive and to show more positive ways of masculinity in ways that just aren't bigoted and racist and problematic.
I talk about this with my friends sometimes. I'm like, in big cities where Democrats are, we can get very regional with our beliefs and like have these conversations around like communism and socialism and like Marxism. And it's like, this is like an LA conversation, girl. In the middle of Louisiana, they're not about that. They're like, why is the gas so high? Obviously, there's reasons why that is attributed to like politics and why that's happening, why the Democrats have like received the brunt of like the prices are so much higher, like whatever. But it's like, I think it's cool to be a Republican right now in a crazy way. The branding is like much more inclusive. It is a wide net. Any and all are welcome to be a Trump supporter. And
yes, because for an entire, even though that one video is funny as fuck where the guy's like, I voted for Trump, and somebody said, it doesn't matter, you're still black, we got your phone. That it was funny as fuck. But when you compare the two sides, who the fuck has been, at least in the public eye, more welcoming? It's the conservatives. Because on the left, you have the agree with me or you're a fascist, agree with me or you support genocide, agree with me or you're not invited to Thanksgiving, which those are funny as fuck. Don't care. Those are funny as fuck. Agree with me or you support controlling a woman's right to choose. There's no explanations. There's just bitching. And the side that now has suffered the loss knows that, but they're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to keep bitching.
like, it is less judgmental amongst them.
I actually saw this other TikTok that put it very well, that like it's cooler to be conservative right now and it's cooler to be a Republican. And I feel like because it's easier and safer for a certain demographic of men because they don't feel like they're being called out or being like villainized for their identities. And I feel like a lot of men feel this way because of the current messaging of the Democrat and liberal side, which I feel like definitely can use some changes to be more competitive and be more.
Oh, so it does need more changes. What are they? Stop excluding the fuck out of everybody off of just basic disagreement? Because even though that'll still be on the right, don't give a fuck how y'all slice it. That level of brain dead thinking is on the right, because I'm still trying to figure out how an active service member lost his mind and is also a liberal because he disagreed with a fucking take being met from the Republican Party. Like, I'm still trying to figure that one out. So I'm not going to sit here and be charitable. These motherfuckers still do the brain dead shit. They still operate in terms of a cult. They still demonized Kyle Rittenhouse for saying he was right against Ron Paul. So we're not going to say, oh my God, they're just more accepting 100%. They're still dipshits on the conservative side. They're still there. They're always going to be there.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
Show the what? Show those sweaty men the ladder.
More appealing to the general public moving forward. I feel like a way to combat this is really to have more creators, podcasters, etc., that can really tap into the male section of the internet, that can make more
Please name one, because it'd be really great to see
left-leaning
one
positions sound more appealing and cool to the average person, more so the average white man, where we can actually allow people to learn more about and choose things that are actually more so in their interests. I think that there's just like an abundance of conservative media and talking points online, especially when it comes to podcasts. And as this one TikToker explains, like, there are definitely going to be more podcasts that have the opposite ideology that can have the potential to be popular and influential.
This is how you fix the red pill problem in America. First thing you need to do, take the fucking gloves off. Real talk. Respectability politics, that shit is done. Number two, and I need to listen to me very clearly. Start a cult. We need blue MAGA. You cannot defeat a cult with a coalition. MAGA and them storm the Capitol on January 6th for Donald Trump. We need some people that's at that same level.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You know why? A fucking quote unquote blue MAGA January 6th will be the thing conservatives eat up forever. Because do you understand how drastic January 6th was, and was such a black eye to Trump? Well, clearly not now, but at the time was such a black eye for Trump that if there was a Democratic of this day and now, and I'm not throwing in BLM. Toss BLM to the side. We're not loving in BLM here. But if there was like a dedicated Democratic supportive Kamala group that stormed the Capitol on Inauguration Day, do you understand how much of a smoking gun that'll be for the fucking conservatives? They will be able to say this shit forever. They will completely forget January 6th. Some of them have forgotten it, even though they shouldn't. And they will use a blue January 6th to make everything fucking worse. Why did somebody just comment, your voice makes me lose No Nut November? Why?
Without being illegal. And that might require you to start campaigning to the left again. It's okay to campaign to leftists and moderates. We're going to have to lie. Even if you don't do leftist politics, you're going to have to talk to the Number three, we need to win the misinformation.
You know what's crazy? He just said it. You're going to have to fucking talk to the people. The people who already aren't on your side. He said it. This motherfucker we've been watching, he hasn't said that once.
And disinformation war. Elon Musk and all them red pill podcasters, they did a number on men and women under the age of 35. And y'all response was, oh, they lying. No, lie back. Even if you have a credible story, you need to gas it up and exaggerate that. Number four, midterm elections. We want new faces, new life, new energy, all that. Don't you put no old white up there. You're going to lose. I promise you.
Like, I think of people like Hasanabi, who was like one example.
No! Terrorist sympathizer. No, this is the worst candidate. This is arguably the worst candidate.
Like a male leading figure for like a male audience. Having like more.
He's not a male leading figure for a male audience. He's a male leading figure for the speds who don't want to classify any research as true unless it comes from him.
Of those like different varying degrees like there are on the right. And on the conservative side, I like would offer more voices so it's not just an echo chamber of one thing for the majority.
You specifically don't want an echo chamber, but you bring up the leader of a fucking echo chamber.
People. And I say all this, and then on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know. That is nice, but you can't really teach someone to like respect women and people of color if they've already chosen not to.
Yes, you can.
But I'm like, I guess we could still have hope out there? Question mark. I just think overall that like left-leaning people and more progressive people can do a better job at making information clearer and simpler for the everyday person.
And you specify a good option as Hassan Abbey, the guy who for this entire year has done a disservice to the Democratic Party, who has done nothing but demonize the Democratic Party, has promoted terrorism, who has openly disrespected women of color, trans people. Not what you want. It's not what you fucking want. Hate to break it to you. Hate to give you this circumstance. Hate for you to think that this is somehow an option because you've been gaslit into believing that is an option, which is the same problem that you have with the conservative men who've been gaslit into believing that people like Andrew Tate are going to save their pussy. You have fallen for the trap just on the other side. So congratulations, nothing's being solved. But we got to get into the real reason for the Gen Z gender wars. Because I am interested to know the real reason for the Gen Z gender wars.
So, America is approaching its most conservative era in recent history following Trump's landslide victory, suspicious landslide victory against Kamala Harris. Suspicious until you look at the data.
That's another thing. That's another thing. That's another thing. Hold on. That's another thing. Now, the Democratic side is doing the same thing the conservatives did when they didn't get their outcome. Now they're speculating on cheating without any evidence that would actually make a fucking difference. Kamala got her fucking nose wiped. Like, Jesus Christ. Kamala got a fucking nose wipe, bros. That's just the way of it.
With a male vote. The majority of men across every age demographic voted for Trump. 60% of white men, 55% of Latinos, and 21% of black men. And while that number represents a significantly smaller share of the Trump male vote, it is important to note that that number has been steadily growing every election year since the era of Trumpism. Yep, that's right. Your dad, your uncle, your man, and that man that's not really your man, that's that other lady's man that you be sleeping with, they're all your op. So instead of being damsels in distress and waiting for a man to come and save them, the sisters are doing it for themselves. Taking to the internet streets in large numbers to say that actually, we're going on strike. We're participating in the 4B movement.
You guys feel spicy? I do. No matter how loud, how kind, respectful, how cute, men will still hate you.
We're talking about bringing that 4B movement right here to the United States. Operation 4B. Refuse to date men, get married, have sex with them, or children.
The resistance.
Again, I'm still trying to figure out the refusal of sex, like, because women are just as horny as men. I can't get behind this metric because it's not really going to do it. Oh, you withheld. Wait a minute. Nah, I just peeped. So you didn't get the outcome you wanted, so you're going to withhold sex. So if you do get the outcome you want, you're either going to have sex, which means hey, you don't really value yourself. You value an outcome so that you could just give up your body for free. Okay.
Has begun, honey. No contact with men. But the question becomes, will this withdrawal of WAP be enough to move men into progressive action? Can millions of women actually be mobilized into a strike in an era of sexual liberation and heightened sensuality? And most importantly, because this isn't the first time that women have gone on a strike, if the movement were to be successful, how do we ensure that women don't forego their sexual freedom in an effort to protect their freedom to be sexual? Let's talk about it. Hey, homeboy and homies, welcome back to my corner of the internet, a corner where pop culture meets quick thought and medium antics. If this is your first time ever seeing my face, my name is Herbie Wallace, and if this isn't your first time ever seeing my face, then you know that we're in a specific location. Shout out to my real homegirls, homeboys, and homies watching at home. Yes, that's right. We are in the HBCU study hall.
Strike 1 and 2.
So much drama. But yes, Herbie's Black College and University Study Hall. This is a series on my channel for in-depth research video essays on a myriad of sociological phenomena. You can think of this as like the study hall for your fave, but also fun sociology course. I'm not the professor. We're all in this together. Yes, study.
Strike 3. I'm done. For my YouTube people, goodbye. For my Twitch people, time for The Walking Dead. Bye, YouTube.